All right, let's move on to another topic that we have been discussing from time to time. We put Rick Spielman under the hot light in Indianapolis, and I said, I want you to look right at that camera, 7-year anniversary of the Percy Harvin trade, and I want you to say, we have no intent to trade Stefon Diggs. And he said, Stefon Diggs is a Minnesota Viking. And you said, that means absolutely nothing. And here we are. It meant absolutely nothing. On the same day that the Vikings extended Kirk Cousins' contract for 2 more years, putting him under contract through 2022, Stefon Diggs makes it clear he wants out. First, he says it's time for a new beginning on Twitter, Chris. And then when somebody pushed back and said, oh, this is all fake, he said, no, something's going to happen. So it looks like with Stefon Diggs, something's going to happen.
Yeah, it certainly does. I know from a few people that I trust that know the situation that it is very real. And of course, we don't need to hear anything from me. Stefon Diggs is telling you it's real. One, there's the Vikings are in a semi-retool, rebuild mode right now. That's one thing we're seeing. They're taking a different approach. They're rebuilding their team in certain areas. Do I think it's a little risky? Yeah, I do, because I think the offense is a little challenged as is anyways, as you and I talked about many times during the year. I mean, it's run, it's bootleg, it's screen to Dalvin Cook. That's basically what they do. So to not have Dalvin Cook not to have Stefon Diggs in that formula, I think is a little scary for Minnesota. They obviously have other plans. I don't know if they can totally use Stefon Diggs' talents to its total capacity would be my biggest thing. I mean, Diggs is special, and he's special in this way to me, Mike. He can beat you on the outside and go right by you for an 80-yard touchdown. He can catch a slant and break a few tackles and go for a 60-yard touchdown. He also can do like the nuanced Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type routes over the middle of the field. And the Vikings offense just not that extensive to use him all those ways. So I'm sure they're a little sick of him. It sounds like he's a little sick of them too. And now the big thing is just who is it that's in the market for Stefon Diggs?
Well, and that's the question, and we'll see. Last week, he was working out in Arizona Cardinals gear, and you have to wonder whether or not that's something that the Cardinals were considering, given that they traded for DeAndre Hopkins. And the trade for DeAndre Hopkins would take the Cardinals out of the Stefon Diggs mix. But look, I agree with you. He's a great player, and I think that his talents are wasted, and the cap dollars are wasted when you've got Adam Thielen, who is making close to market value, and here's Stefon Diggs with a $14 million or so contract. And I think, look, I think that if it is going to be run the ball, and then set up play action passes and bootlegs, you can go with a younger receiver.
Yeah.
You can look to the draft. Look, they found Stefon Diggs in round 5. Adam Thielen was undrafted. They're better off taking guys late in the draft. When they try to take a first rounder, it blows up in their face. So use some draft picks. It's deep this year at the receiver position. They love B.C. Johnson. They've got Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph at tight end. They'll be fine, and they can clear out that cap space. It's not a huge net cap gain. It's $1.9 million in net cap dollars, but they'll avoid a salary this year of nearly $11 million, and that's cash that can be spent elsewhere. So it feels like that's where it's heading. When we asked Rick Spielman point blank, he didn't say what he could have said. Diggs isn't going anywhere. All he said is he's a Minnesota Viking, which means that's the 2019 or the 2020 version of we have no intent to trade Percy Harvin. I think it's just a matter of time, as do you, that Stefon Diggs goes somewhere else. So where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I mean, all right, so here's the teams that jump out to me right off the bat. Like Buffalo Bills, I would think they got to be calling Minnesota if they know Stefon Diggs is available. They run a New England-type offense there with Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator, got a young quarterback, got a ton of money. So that certainly would make sense. They could utilize all his talents the proper way. The Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, come on. You and I talked to Howie Roseman. He talked about priority number 1 was getting Carson Wentz some help. I mean, this would be your guy. Again, he could do everything for that offense. There was another team I had that jumped out to me, and I'm blanking out, and I'm choking under the pressure here. And the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, I would think he'd be John Gruden's type of, cup of tea too. So, again. Okay.
After Antonio Brown last year, though, I mean, a guy who's got a reputation for being a little moody when things don't go his way. Now, he never has been anywhere close to the Antonio Brown category.
Right.
But we have seen. I mean, last year he went AWOL after that Bears game. He didn't show up for work for 2 or 3 days, and they didn't make a big deal about it because I think maybe they were thinking about possibly trading him then. And you don't want to flag the guy as a problem as you're trying to strike a deal. But I don't know that Gruden's going to want to go back to that well, and I know Mike Mayock's not going to want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. You're right. But, I think the other thing you said is let's not put him in the class of Antonio Brown. That's for sure. And listen, I mean this, I got great friends who are all top-tier receivers are a pain in the ass. They're all a pain in the ass. If they don't get the ball for 2 weeks and they're a number one receiver, they're going to complain. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So, they're the most diva group in the NFL, but I think your point with the Raiders, is real. I mean, I get you there. They might be scarred, too afraid to deal with anything like that right now.
And, it reminds me of a story I was told about Jerry Rice, and I think we've talked about this before, that they knew in the locker room when Rice was going to grab a microphone and be a butthole, and they would get him out of the locker room on those days. The PR staff knew it was coming. They get him out of there, and the reporters are like, oh, where's Jerry? Oh, he's gone, because they wanted to let him go calm down before he said something that was going to resonate and create headlines. So the headline is, Stefon Diggs is going somewhere. We will find out where that somewhere is. And I'm sure the Vikings aren't happy about this because so much for trying to be coy, right, Chris?
Right.
You got Diggs coming out and saying it's going to happen. It's like, come on, man, give us a chance to try to grift somebody here and get the best possible deal. And my guess is Rick Spielman's not real happy about that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's not. I mean, I get it. And to me, the fact that Diggs says it, right, to me would tell me there's more than one team involved. Because I don't think you're Diggs, you say that if you just think it's one team and risk it on that. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a psychologist here. Either way, Rick Spielman, we're on to you. We got you. I know your poker face from here on out.
Well, and the other thing, and the last point on this before we move on, I really wonder whether it was a coincidence that on the same day they extend Kirk Cousins, that's the day Diggs says it's time for a new beginning. And I've never gotten the sense that he's been all in with Cousins. We've interviewed him, and we've had the opportunity to talk to him before and after the interviews. And without saying things that we shouldn't say because it's off the record when the microphone's not on, let me just say, I think it may not be a coincidence that on the same day Cousins extends his contract, we get this news from Diggs that it's time for a new beginning.
Yeah, I get it. There was certainly frustration there from Stefon Diggs a number of times over the last 2 years there in Minnesota. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I honestly, too, Mike, just the last thing to button this up, I just know this. This is total just I'm throwing crap on the wall to see if it sticks there. I know the New England Patriots always have really admired Stefon Diggs ever since he came out in the draft. And I do wonder, too, if they're a team that's maybe in the trade talk for a Stefon Diggs and if that has anything to do with Brady. We'll see. I'm just throwing that out there trying to connect dots.
And let me tell you, I think Brady is the kind of guy that will command the respect from Stefon Diggs that will get him to not be moody from time to time. He's got the skills, he's got the leadership, he's got the demeanor, and I think Stefon Diggs will more often than not be on the right side of where he needs to be if he's around a guy like a Tom Brady. All right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.